you do a lot of stuff, Mr. Morningstar.
I do.
Yeah, and something that's really interesting to me is the fact that you've incorporated role-playing games into teaching applications, into many different ways of using it. Do you see that as the future of role-playing games being adapted into not just entertainment?
That's a great question. I think that there's always going to be a core of people who really love to just play, and the center of the hobby is all about play and the joy of interacting with your friends and creating things. So that's never going to change. I think, though, that core activity can be used in other ways for other purposes, and we're just starting to explore that. So the idea of using it as a tool for teaching and learning is something that I'm very excited about, and I think there's a lot of potential that's never been explored there.
Sure. You run Bully Pulpit games, and your games are known to be, they use a lot of humor, a lot of satire, and usually things are the most fun when things are at their most foobar point in a way. But as I said, you use satire, you use things of that nature in your games. Do you think that you can, make a change, or maybe wake people up a bit about things of society's nature and things going on in the society through role-playing games?
Yes, I absolutely do, and some of my games use satire and humor, some of them don't. I have some games that are much more serious about historical topics that I think can really be a way to build empathy for other people and places, to look at events in history through a different lens, and to, in a way, participate in them. And of course, we'll never know what it's really like to, for example, be a child soldier during the Warsaw Uprising. But people did experience that, and by engaging with that in a playful way, and by playful I mean in terms of a game, not in terms of funny humor, right? But to engage in play, it's going to create empathy and also teach you a little bit about the time and place, and I think that's valuable.
Was it hard though to we're sitting down at the table, we're gonna make a role-playing game, let's make it about child soldiers, I mean, that's a scary thought, because people will perceive that the wrong way probably.
Yes, and that happens quite often, and there's a lot of people who say, well, I'm never going to play that game. That scares me. I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to be offensive or make mistakes about real history. And I think that's legitimate. If you're very uncomfortable with it, then maybe you shouldn't explore that. Sure. At the same time, taking that leap and sort of putting that stuff aside, most people find that it's not as intimidating, and that it's very edifying, and that it's cathartic, and that you learn a lot, and it's a very positive experience.
Sure.
And that particular game, which is called Gray Ranks, I specifically designed so that the players have a lot of control over what happens to their characters. So it's not a situation where you're going to play a game that's going to put you into a situation that is very uncomfortable or traumatic, because you can say, no, that's not what happens. We're going to go a different way with this. And that was very deliberate, because I knew the material was very dark and very heavy. Cool.
Yeah, it's actually interesting, because things of that nature have been commented and like thrown about in the entertainment society, in comedy, in stuff like that for years now. But do you think that it's the line that's so hard to cross for people is that it's a game? It's a game. People, perceive it as a game.
And it's a complicated issue, because you can look at a game like these more serious games that I'm making and say they're fun by some definition of fun. Yeah. But because people don't necessarily have the same definition, that can sound really offensive. Sure. Like, oh, you're having a great time playing, female bomber pilots during World War II. That's kind of disgusting. Shame on you. And so the fun comes in a different way, right? And the fun comes from learning and empathizing and experiencing, and maybe coming to some measure of understanding about what these people went through.
Sure. Yeah, that's I'm totally for that. I love the notion of using RPGs and board games in general as a tool to really, poke society and poke the darker reaches of those places.
Well, and my games that are satiric or humorous are definitely doing that too, sure. Right? So,
where did that come from, by the way? Was there like a conscious decision when you started Pulpit games Pulpit games that we're gonna do something that's not your run down the mill?
Yeah, well, I mean, I make games that I want to play, and so the games that we end up publishing are games that are of immediate interest to me and my close circle of friends, and so they're addressing issues we've seen in other games that we're unsatisfied with. We want to make something that is going to work better for us, which isn't to say that our games are better. It's just that they're different in ways that are good for us.
Do you think that that's the way that the industry is headed to really try and pick apart different parts of society and the world that we live in through RPGs, so that we get more games that are not D&D?
I hope so. There's nothing wrong with D&D.
Sure. D&D is awesome. Awesome.
You love what you love.
Yeah.
But I think that there's lots of room to explore different topics and to use them as a tool for social commentary, or as a tool for political activism. There's all kinds of ways that play can be used for other purposes, and we're just sort of starting to see that.
Cool.
I think.
This is your second time in Finland.
Yep.
How do you like it? Do you like Finland?
Well, I came back.
You came back, that's true. We came back. So Finland must be awesome.
Finland is pretty
awesome. So are you looking for a place already, a house, or?
Yeah, well, maybe a summer house.
Summer house. Right? Oh, that's a start.
Maybe Savonia, maybe?
Maybe. Yeah, that could work.
No, not looking for summer house yet, although I would dearly love to strengthen my ties to your country. I'm really happy here, and I wish I had more time.
Sure.
My experience here has been overwhelmingly positive. People have been really kind to me, and it's a place of great beauty. I used to live in Alaska,
right.
And so the environment here is very reminiscent. I lived in a city that was surrounded by the ocean, and in a place where it was subarctic. So I don't know if southern Finland is technically subarctic.
Technically, yeah.
But the tall birch trees and the more austere landscape really speaks to me.
Well, that's like really familiar then.
Yeah, very much.
That's kind of cool. Okay. So how do you feel about the Nordic role-playing community? Because I know that you've had a lot of dealings with our gaming community.
Sure. I'm really excited to be at Ropecon because I'm going to meet a whole different segment of people here. Like, I've not had a ton of contact with tabletop role-playing enthusiasts. Yep. Most of the people that I've dealt with have been LARP people,
sure,
who are great, but that's just one small piece of the pie, right? So I'm going to meet lots of people this weekend, and I'm looking forward to that. The folks that I've worked with, I collaborate pretty often with a guy named Matthias Holter, who's a Norwegian, and I know tons of people in Sweden and Denmark and also in Finland. I think that there's a lot of really, really exciting things happening here that are kind of a result of how gaming was introduced here. Yep. So in the States, there are really sharp divides between types of play. People who LARP don't really role play or tabletop very much. And people who play board games maybe don't LARP.
Really, it's like secluded.
Yeah, very much. And here, that's not the case.
No.
There's no identity politics between the groups, and there's not a lot of stigma one way or the other. So that's refreshing to see, and we're starting to change that in the States, but it's not as open and kind of cool as it is here.
Well, but you have a huge community when you know, in reference to us, because I mean, if you like role-playing games here, you like LARP, you like tabletop, you love everything, because it's us. It's just us 10 people who do that now. Okay, well, one last question. Do you think that, the internet hive mind and Kickstarters and stuff like that, and the way that we are more connected now than we ever are, how is that, in your opinion, going to affect role-playing games?
It's going to democratize it more than it is already, I think. Kickstarter is a wonderful tool for getting people who don't necessarily have resources but have really good ideas directly into production.
Yeah.
So we've already seen that. We're going to see more of that, and I think that that's ultimately a really good tool. The internet's just been an amazing thing. There's never been a better time to be a game designer or player than today. The fact that I'm here is a direct result of being able to forge connections with people all over the world.
That is true.
And that's just fantastic.
So all hail role players.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.